All right, hello and welcome to the Dad Strength Podcast. I'm your host, Richie Leahy. Today, I'm going to talk about, and the title of this episode will probably change, but I'm going to talk generally about using videos to learn more about parenting and some of the things I'm going to do. Podcast is great. Learn at your own pace. That was the idea behind it. You didn't have to do thorough research. I could kind of get things that I learned, and hopefully other people could learn from them. When I started the show, that was the idea. Well, I can only give so many tips. Once kids get bigger, everyone learns at a different age, different speed, or whatever. But like my daughter, she developed physically first. Some other kids developed linguistically first. They could use more words than her. They can still use more words than her. But our daughter can do like running and jumping before other kids. So everyone's different. So I found out quick that I couldn't just do generalizations based on my daughter because I could talk about her developed physically more than others. So I did the developmental charts, which were great. Again, they're not a lot of video content. They're great for podcasts, but you can only do so many episodes. Otherwise, it's the same content. And I'm assuming that, like myself, once your kid gets a certain age, you're not doing so much new parenting research. You know what your kid can do. You can go ahead, and I'll probably talk about this next week, to just define some additional materials. But you know what your kid can do, and you know, okay, well, they need to start learning their ABCs. They need to start counting. You don't need a podcast to tell you that. At that point, you're watching educational videos with your kid. Watch PBS. They'll learn a bunch. That's what our daughter does. And listen to foreign radio. Listen to different things. Try to expand their mind. The podcast is great for new parents because that first part is so scary. You don't know what's going to happen. So with that, I made the switch about halfway through to video. I talked about it last week. And the video turned out that my camera wasn't that good at video and I wasn't that good at video. So I've been practicing getting some more stuff, but I wanted to go with the list. So if people got tired of listening to the podcast, because the developmental charts were great, you can end right there. You can end the show right there, not listen to the rest. And if you wanted to see some other things, see what I'm talking about on the list. If you go to the list that we made, you can see the pictures that I took to show you the items. But on the video, you can actually see, and I can show you a little bit better. So the crossover of doing audio and video at the same time didn't work for parenting stuff. So I learned a lot, but the second part of the show, and I did get feedback, so I think I'm gonna do it. But the video that I've been doing, I have a couple up right now, and I'm trying to get all the dad strength stuff caught up. But I want to get better at doing video and on camera presenting because any good, it helps your job. Any good public speaker is gonna be better at training others, getting ideas across. It just helps. So it's kind of like professional development for me. Plus, I get to talk about some toys and cool stuff that I have and that I get to play with my daughter with. So the videos, the new item list for Dude Dads was an idea that I had. And some other feedback that I got, they wanted me to go through and actually show certain toys because a lot of parents get them. So it's like, I might be thinking about getting Beatbo. I talked about him before. What does he do? A lot of videos are pretty bad. And people like my delivery and stuff, which I appreciate. And thanks to you, those have reached out because it gave me the confidence and stuff to keep going. Well, they like my delivery, so I can go through and show some toys. But those were the type of toys that I couldn't put on the list. It wouldn't have worked for the podcast listeners. So now that I'm done with the list and I'm going to be ending the podcast, the audio only version, go to YouTube. You can find my videos. And I'm going to be showing some of the toys, and these work better as my daughter gets older because I'm going to be showing some of the books and stuff that she uses, she reads, and just giving overviews and trying to show more parenting help stuff. Video works well. It's not going to be podcast format, but you always have this podcast if you want to listen to it. There are other guides out there to help you with parenting. At this point, I would recommend trying to find more teaching aids instead of listening to general parenting tips. Because if you listen to this whole podcast and your child developed with mine, they're over a year or two old now, and you'll want them to start learning. So listening, and I'm going to put this at the beginning too. So if you're going to tell people about the podcast, new parents, I'm going to have messages at the beginning of the feed and at the end of the feed that tell them what the show is about and how to listen to it and what to do after. But the videos are great for learning about new toys, how to do things, how to use them. So I'm going to be doing some, throwing them up over time, maybe building some objects. I think I had one that was like a table and chairs. That was the original idea. And so that was based off what some people wanted to hear. And that's the next direction that I'm going to go in, get some more stuff. Hopefully it's helpful. Hopefully the podcast has been helpful to you. But feel free to use YouTube or any video thing. Doesn't even have to be my videos. If you're a parent, you want to learn the next step, teach your kid. YouTube and online video and the internet are great tools. If your kid's struggling with school, an example I can give from teaching days, they have, if you remember how you learn how to multiply, if you're my age, I'm 30. So if you're my age or older, they taught you how to multiply by stacking up, and this is like double-digit numbers. They lined them up, and then they taught you to multiply up and down and carry zeros. Well, now at some schools, with the standardized testing, they teach another method called the lattice method, where you draw boxes of squares around the numbers, and instead of lining the numbers straight up and down, these boxes go diagonal. So they're like little squares, and you draw a diagonal line through them, and you multiply that way, and then add up the numbers around the box. So if your teacher teaches your kid that, because that's what the standards book tells them, and you can't help them at school, then you're stuck, because you don't want to show them, well, this is how I learned. So then you're going to have to go find videos online that teach you that new method so that you can help your kid. So that's my example. And like I said, if you're at this point, I don't want to scare you, but everything's changing. You, as a parent, you always have to be learning. Can't be stuck in your ways, because everyone's coming up with new ideas to help kids learn faster, learn new things, become smarter, become better, develop physically to become healthier. So you always have to be on top of that. So make sure you use the internet, not just videos. Use the internet for your own tools to go ahead and do research. And research constantly. And actually, I think next week I am just going to talk about researching and getting new tools to learn about parenting. And just giving you some tips and some ideas. And what to do, what not to do. And hopefully it helps. And just giving some advice. And honestly, just make sure that you're having fun. It's your kid. Your kid will know if you're having fun learning with them, growing with them, or if it starts to become a burden for you, if you're complaining or moaning. They're going to pick up on that, and it's going to kind of throw a rift between you two, and you don't want that. So try to learn your best. This will probably happen when the kids start school, because they're going to learn new things that you might not know, and it's not bad for either of you, but you want to be supportive of your child, and you don't want to kind of go against what they are learning, what their friends are learning, whenever they get to that age. So I'll be giving some ideas as the podcast winds down, last couple episodes. But thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week. Follow me on Twitter. My name is Richie Leahy, and thanks again.